What's most requested? What is it about Vital Garnish? People are like, yeah, that's what I want.
Okay, so this place does not exist. If something like this existed, I wouldn't have this, I wouldn't bother having this business. I opened this to be a patron.
Cool.
It's a bonus that I own the place, but when people come in, they're getting something really different. The first thing is, for some reason, the decor is always striking to folks.
Agreed.
The most common saying that I hear when they come in is the lights. Everybody loves the lights. So decor is on purpose. Everything here is intentional. We want it to feel as comfortable as home, but special and unique place to make your destination. So when people come in, they're typically attracted to the ambiance, but also nutritious food that's nutritionally intentional, and also the aesthetic of a fancy drink with friends, but no negative fallout from that.
Yeah. I like that as somebody who's recently started not drinking. It really caught my eye when I went to your website and was looking at it, and it's okay, the food, the space, which we'll get to because I have some questions about that, but then also mocktails and a place for people to just hang out. And that really does, like you said, it strikes me as different. So I guess, how are people receiving it? Is it,
Really
are people
well.
enjoying it? Yeah, I guess along those lines, how's it been?
Yeah, so we're still growing very organically. I was intentional about that as well. My first and foremost goal with this place is for people to be able to practice their social health.
Cool.
And with that being said, hearing about this place from people, whether it's them posting on social media or word of mouth, either way, hearing it from people instead of me is what I'm going for.
Yeah.
So word of mouth is spreading. We're starting to catch a buzz for sure. And yeah, people are excited about coming in. It's a designated social space, but doesn't have the offerings that can shorten your lifespan.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, we are here to essentially lengthen your lifespan. So when I say come in here to celebrate life, this really is for people who are choosing to celebrate life.
Cool.
And we can do that, of course, everything in moderation, right? Like, don't go crazy with anything in excess and you'll be fine. But this place is really designated to cater to your social practice, which obviously has, just because of our times, has decreased significantly. So this is intentional for social practice. It's intentional for internal nutritional health, and also the aesthetic of celebrating in the moment. And so with those three things, this is really designed for one to feel better after visiting than when you arrived.
Awesome. Yeah, I like it. And I think you hit on a couple really neat things there where it's like, you're in Canandaigua, you're in the Finger Lakes, it's huge wine region.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, hey, moderation, if you choose to do that, that's great. But if you also choose not to, that's okay.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be weird, or maybe it doesn't have to be different. It's just, hey, there's that option, and providing that, I think, is a really good idea. So thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
So one thing on the website, you said I think the words were an overall place to be. So how can you talk to that a little bit more? Because I wasn't surprised, but I was like, okay, I see what you're doing with the food, with the drinks. How did you also wrap that in? And what does that mean to you?
Yeah, so regarding a place to be physically, I take a lot of inspiration from my travels around the world. And specifically, if one is familiar with Europe and other places overseas, fast turnover is not the goal. Here, it's the same way. I want you to linger. I want you to loiter. I want you to order food and drinks just as your excuse to stay here longer. So I really want people to get familiar with sitting down, taking time, spending quality time with each other in a place where that's welcome. The other thing, too, is since this place doesn't have the option of drinking, and oftentimes the suburbanites are traveling to Canandaigua as their destination, I want this place to feel enough like a special destination where you know that you can drive here and drive home. And when you drive a certain distance or fly a certain distance, you're like, oh, we're flying to Japan, we better stay for 3 weeks, right? Because it's such a long flight. Well, this is a 30-minute drive. It's a beautiful drive. But if you're going to come out here, I would find myself looking for excuses to stay longer in Canandaigua. And the turnover is so naturally fast in the restaurant industry in the US that I really want to redefine what it means to just be. And also with the lack of alcohol, it's just a little reminder that we can have fun without it. We're not drinking at work and we have laughs with friends. So we can also do that here.
Very cool. So I've got to touch on the world travel.
Oh, yeah.
And I appreciate tying that in. Just as a random aside, so people know more about you, where favorite place that comes to mind, maybe in Europe? Is there a trip or a place or a time?
So my most recent travels, my mom and I 2 summers ago went to Copenhagen, Denmark.
Oh, cool.
And that was really special. I've traveled for art and architecture and history and food, but this was travel for energy.
Okay.
We went with the intention of really feeling what it means when people say this is the happiest place to live and the happiest place to visit. There are, not to get political, but there are some political associations. It's a socialist place. So it's very different in terms of equal opportunity, and there's not a lot of competition. Government tends to provide a lot of the things that are less fortunate here have trouble with. So a lot of the fears of crime is lifted, a lot of the concern with not knowing your neighbor or thinking someone may be a little out of sorts. There's really not that feeling. So I think when people say it's the happiest place to be, you really feel that palpable energy in the air. And yes, some of it is, a lot of it is political. We're just creatures of our habitat. But it's also just a health conscious place.
Yeah.
The main means of conveyance is biking. Bike lanes are everywhere. And here in this country, we're starting to get that too. I just noticed in the Park Ave area where I live, we have brand new designated bike lanes, and it's reminding me of Copenhagen, which is so cool. So yeah, naturally people are just healthier, health conscious.
Yeah.
And I think now in this day and age here, we are too. We've never been more exposed to the education regarding health consciousness. So we are definitely, as a society, way more health conscious now than we ever were, just due to the information that's available to us.
Yep.
And with that, I think places like this likely will start to pop up and become something that is just as normal as going into a designated social space that has the common things that we're used to.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. I'm reading a book called, see if I can remember this on the fly, Things Become Other Things. The author's name is Craig Maud. He went to Japan when he was 19. I think he stayed there. And so he wrote a book, or he's written several books, but he mentions exactly what you said about Copenhagen and Denmark and having the, for lack of a better term, social safety net. And he's like, there's still poor areas. Japan is not Tokyo, and there's still people who have hard times, but he's like, underlying that is there's cheaper places that are affordable to rent. They've got the basics taken care of. They have the health care, and it makes a difference, especially for him coming from kind of a semi-poor upbringing in the U.S. And he's like, I had no idea this existed. And he's like, it just changes people. Yeah, that really kind of hit home.
Yeah, and it's not something that we necessarily have to adopt to be better. It's not that. It's just,
there's a different way of doing things.
That's it.
Yeah.
And ethnocentrism is a huge challenge and commonality in this country. And for those of us who have gotten out a little bit and seen some other things, you just become broader in the sense that, yes, we were born into a certain way of life, but it doesn't mean it's the only way of life. And it certainly doesn't mean it's the best way of life. And there doesn't have to be a best way, right? It's just different.
Yeah.
So also with my travels, obviously, like I mentioned before, the turnover in Europe, they're like, stay forever. You sit down in Italy for a big pizza and they're like, oh, you didn't like your food because it's 3/4 of the way gone. And they're like, you're going to stay until you finish that. And you're like, whoa, this is so crazy.
Very different, very different.
And out here, you're like, the money, get in, get out, let's go. I don't want this place to feel like that at all. That's why right on the menu, I'm saying silly things like, come in, sit down, relax, sing on the microphone. dance a little bit, talk with strangers, talk about with strangers what you're going to order. Like rub elbows with people again.